Hello and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Almost got put off by my lovely newsreaders who are chatting while I'm trying to do the intro. How are you?
Chrissy, very well.
We're so excited and we're bouncing along.
Oh.
With some of the news that we've got for you, we've got some major
some funny
exclusives.
things.
Okay, you're going to tell us in just a moment because I'd just like to tell the viewers what we'll be talking about today. Now, we will be delving into the mind of successful people. Now, I consider you both very successful. So, and you also can feed into what we're going to be speaking about because we do have some lovely guests. We'll have psychologist Hamira Riaz, who's going to be giving some insight into what it takes to make a celebrity brand successful. And she'll also be giving us some advice on the psychology of super successful young people. Interesting.
Great.
And we'll also catch up with an event hosted by our business expert, Jonathan Pfahl, and he'll also be speaking about how to be a successful entrepreneur. And of course, I'll be answering a question from a viewer. But let's go to the news. You said you had some exciting stuff for us.
Yes, well, it starts off with a very sticky subject for the Queen this week.
Really?
Absolutely. Apparently, people have been leaving chewing gum all over her furniture.
Oh, really? That's naughty.
Absolutely. No, I
can't. Just the furniture, or just over the floors?
No, it's the furniture apparently, and so now she's going to employ someone at £16,000 a year.
Not to pick chewing gum off the furniture, surely.
They are there as a chewing gum.
Chewing gum off the furniture. It's how the other half live, Chrissy. I mean, I'm not a great sort of
what a boring job.
Chewing gum.
Sorry,
could you imagine? But going round, I mean, I know how big Buckingham Palace is, so to be running around, you know,
you'd have to do something else at the same time.
Absolutely, and a lot of the time, you know, during the summer months, there's something like about 800,000 visitors go through September, October time before she comes back to the place. Is going to be awash. By the sound
and just put a rule like no gum.
Yeah, no gum.
And they go, and then some bins
in the front. Little person that keeps.
And they can give me £16,000 a year for that idea. There you go.
Very good.
Well, that's your success story.
It's my success story. Yeah, you see, think out of the box.
Good thinking.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. That is a funny story. Well, obviously, for me, George Clooney and Amaldine, I can't remember her surname ever, but fantastic. I mean, they're married now. They got married in Venice. Fantastic. It was twinkly, amazing. I don't know if you saw it. Oh, gosh, I've said it again.
I did.
So it's a few days, three or 4 days of celebration, but they look stunning. And George Clooney is absolutely besotted, and it's really nice to see. Because
I thought the news was pretty cruel because they were saying that because their ceremony lasted 13 minutes and then they saw a black cat walking across and they were saying,
that was all a bit.
Come on, give them a chance.
It's mad, isn't it? Oh no, they look stunning. I mean, it's amazingly tall, isn't she? She's quite horse-like, but obviously wears clothes well. And she wore a beautiful Oscar de la Renta bespoke dress, which was fantastic, which is not that dissimilar from Kate Middleton's, I have to say, although hers was a bit more Edwardian looking. Yeah. And it was beautiful, lace and twinkles, and he had his best friend make him a suit as well, Giorgio Armani. Yeah. So it was all really lovely, and it was just, for me, it's really exciting. And I think as well, because Kate Middleton's obviously quite poorly at the minute, in a way, I think people have been sort of thinking it's almost like the new king and queen kind of thing that's come on the scene. But I think it's a little bit silly, but everybody likes to see a little bit of glamour, don't they? Especially in Venice. I mean, Venice along the waters.
Handled the press really well as well, because they could have easily ducked and dived, because there was a money issue. Vogue had actually sort of bought the photography rights, to the entire thing. But they handled it so well because they gave everybody what they needed. And a lot of celebrities these days, they'll do the individual deals and they'll sort of hide under covers and they'll have all the security around them, and they made sure that every single day there were photo opportunities, for the photographers as well. Then everybody's happy. It's, and so the whole thing, I think, was designed, was so well thought through.
They actually banned people's cameras, didn't they? As in their iPhones and things like that, and had to put them away. So they'd had it all calculated, because obviously they had a magazine deal and everything. But the funny thing that I thought is they actually had to have a civil service as well. So they had all the fanfare and the marriage, and then had a very short civil service ceremony, which they had to do in Venice. Because I think
that was when she was wearing that suit, wasn't it?
Yeah, the flared
Stella McCartney
white
really
flared
good
pants, which are really good. because she just must be so tall.
She is.
She's tall and slim. It's like, I'm just jealous. I don't know. Anyway, that's all a bit of excitement.
I quite like this. I think this is rather fetching. You all both look fabulous tonight. Look at the two of you.
Mix and match, different fabrics, different textures. I know.
Trying to boost us up.
I want to stay on the show with you.
You know, trying to keep in my good books.
All these compliments. Oh, so something funny as well. I've seen it came out a little while ago, but Richard Branson and his new theory. He's basically allowing all his staff to take as much holiday as they want to take. And you'd think,
provided you go on Virgin.
no, but I mean, I think it's amazing.
What do you mean? As in annual leave or using the airline? And
no. Basically, anybody who works for him, let's just say in the offices or anywhere, as long as they're up to date with their work or they feel they're not letting any of the team down, they in fact can take as little or as much time off as they want to.
That's interesting.
And it's a new thing. I don't know where he got it from America or something, but amazing. Because they obviously have a good work ethic and they don't want to let him down, so people aren't going to take.
But then you get those ones that are a bit obsessed with performance that may not take, what they're supposed to be taking.
I think the thing with Richard Branson, though, he's got to understand is a lot of the time he just lends his name, and it's not really his companies as such. There's but Virgin is really a pseudonym name that people can actually buy if they are interested in working with Branson, and it's almost like a buy-in to his brand. So he doesn't necessarily own all his companies either. There's a balance in how Richard Branson works, and things like he created a cosmetic company, but he didn't. It sounded like he did, but it was actually two women who actually sort of started this off.
He's not going to like you very much if he's watching the show right now.
I think the reality is that
the man behind the mask.
Absolutely, well, absolutely, because there's a reality to Richard Branson as well. And as much as he likes to support Britain, he also likes to support Richard Branson, and there's very much a showman in him at any time.
There is, but he'll prove everyone wrong. He'll be launching into space quicker than we know.
Well,
he will be.
Are you going?
I think so.
Do you know?
Probably a few years ago I would have suggested, but
I would never go in that something like that.
The other night,
stuck in space.
The other night, I had this perfect dream where I'd flown to Mars. This is quite true. I swear to God, I had this most graphic dream where I'd flown to Mars and I'd taken these fabulous photographs and I'd actually shown there was life on Mars, and then I'd come back again and I was getting public acclaim all over the world.
Oh, bless.
And then I woke up thinking, I've been to Mars for about 30 seconds. I thought, oh, you fool.
But you did have those dreams and you sort of think they're real, don't you, for a few seconds?
Yeah,
it was
when you wake up and the big starts.
Yeah.
It's another nice story, which is about Karen Brady, who is, I think, a great role model for women. She is so successful and has been successful from an early age, and she's been given a Conservative peerage, and she has a new title as well. And just to recap, because Karen Brady obviously appears in The Apprentice, but she's also vice chairman of West Ham FC football club, so she was the first woman to be into football. Completely amazing. Yeah. But I just like her new title is Baroness Brady of Knightsbridge. She had been given something which is of Birmingham, but she changed it and accepted this one. Yeah. But I mean, good for her. I mean, I think she's amazing.
Yeah. And the Beckhams.
We're going to be learning as well what makes someone successful like that, the way they think. Psychology behind it. So
absolutely.
She's a good example.
She is, very
good.
And
the Beckhams, as always, they're in the news again. Victoria's been in America, although she launched her store in London.
Yeah, she did.
But David came to make sure that it was male friendly, because one of the ethics of her stores and her business now is that she not only thinks about the women going into the store, she also thinks about the husbands going with them as well.
It's interesting for them, isn't it?
And how to do it. But David, in his own rights last week, has now sort of declared that he's not going to be doing any more of these sort of revealing underwear shoots anymore as well.
Really. He's got a family and everything. And I think enough. He's done. He's done.
It's time to stop.
But he actually opened. He opened the Victoria Beckham store because she was actually in Africa. She was supporting her AIDS charity. So, which is very admirable.
And he came out with a quote which I couldn't believe, because he said he hated being photographed a lot of the time because he never felt that masculine in the shots, especially the underwear shots. Yeah, and I thought that's a strange thing to say, but there you go. You know, I mean, sometimes, you know, the public facade is not really who the person really is.
That's very true. That's very true. You're going to stay with us because
and we've
after
got
the break,
a cracking royal story.
We've got a very special story, don't we?
A very special story.
After the break, so don't go away, and I'll also be answering a question from a viewer.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. So we are going to be speaking a bit later on about what makes super successful people and how to be a successful entrepreneur. But first of all, we do have some more news from Ian and Helena, and also I need to answer this question from Tanya, and she says, "Hi Chrissy, I have a friend who I've known for years, but she's often putting me down and rarely has anything positive to say about me, whether it's about how I look or about my achievements. I really want to distance myself from her, but I'm worried about the backlash. What would you do?" Now, Tanya, I have to say, I think this really depends on how she's saying these things. Like, is she actually trying to give you constructive criticism, or is she just being horrible? Because I'll tell you what, I have a friend, for example, she's also on TV. And I watched her on TV the other day, and I think she looked really bad in what she was wearing. So as a good friend, I told her, and I said, look, that thing that you were wearing did not suit you. It made her look really, like, big, and she's not. It just didn't suit her at all. So I spoke to her and I said, listen, you know, I think this style looks better on you. So as a friend, I wasn't trying to put her down. I want her to look good. So I told her that, and she really appreciated it. So if your friend is doing, sort of saying things for you to improve yourself, and she's just being honest, maybe other people wouldn't tell you, that's one thing. But if you see she's just putting you down in a way, like saying, oh, you know, you're bad, you never achieve anything, you know, what you did was rubbish. If she's making comments like that, I would first of all speak to her and tell her how it makes you feel. And if she doesn't change, then I would honestly just cut her off, because you don't need like toxic people like that in your life. You're giving her a chance by speaking to her. And if nothing changes, then I honestly would cut her off. And I wouldn't worry about the backlash, because it might be a bit uncomfortable maybe at first, you know, trying to distance yourself. But in the long run, I think you'll definitely feel better for it. So I do hope that's helped you, Tanya. And if anyone else has a question or would like to know what I would do if I were in your situation, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Have you had any toxic friends?
Yeah.
I think everyone has at some point.
At some point. But sometimes when you...
I suppose I never know.
Problems within that person, isn't it, normally? Projecting.
What do you mean you never know? I think you know when someone...
No, I don't, because I take everybody at face value. And I'm the type of person who never judges people, never bears grudges against people. The thing I've had to learn is to actually distance myself from people who may be trying to hurt me.
This is the thing.
But I always have felt, all the way through my life, is that if anybody ever asks me for help, I'll always give them help. You know, and whether they're a friend or not is immaterial in that type of thing. And
I think sometimes people have to protect themselves as well, because if you are around people that are constantly negative towards you, obviously, like I said, it's different. If it's constructive criticism, they're trying to help you, that's one thing, and that's great to have, because this friend that I'm talking about, she does the same for me as well. She's very honest with me.
That's great though, isn't it?
Very honest. But I love that, because she's one of the few people that will tell me the truth about things, and I really appreciate that from her. But then you have those other ones, and I've had these kind of people in my life that just don't want the best for you. They really don't. They maybe say nice things, but then, you know, behind your back it's...
I'm lucky, I'm quite perceptive and things like that. I tend to pick up quite quickly.
And I think
when you make a decision then quickly. And then
when you have someone negative around you, I quite agree. One of my friends has just broken up a relationship, and for about 2 or 3 years, the person that she was with has been very negative towards her. You know, even on things like holidays and that type of thing, he's been quite possessive, quite demanding, and she's a very outward-going person. She's just got rid of him, and we were talking last night on Skype together, and she's like, she's free.
That's the thing.
She feels so much better.
That strength, isn't it?
If you feel, it's true. Because if you feel like after you've been with a so-called friend and you end up feeling bad or guilty or heavy, even like, if that friendship is burdensome, there's something wrong. Because when you're with your friends or people that that's supposed to love you, you need to you enjoy their company. It's not like
it's relaxing.
Yeah, exactly. You have a laugh. You're you know, you're not treading on eggshells. It's lovely, but otherwise. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the news now.
The big story. Go on, you can tell the big story.
Big story.
Well, I think it started really. Well, there's all this. I mean, poor Kate Middleton. Bless. She's been really, really poorly. Very, very, very poorly with her. It's almost like it's a severe form of morning sickness. I mean, I can't remember the name. I can never remember the name. But it's not just morning sickness, because people have been having a bit of go at her for being lazy and everything. And it really it's severe. I mean, she can't get out of bed. She's missing social engagements that she really would have loved to have done, like Malta, and Prince William went in her place, and recently something else as well, a charity for children, wasn't it? And she had to stop with that. But yeah, so she's not been in a good place. But anyway, so recently Bookies suddenly put something, it was like, you know, the odds were something like 20-1 about Kate having twins.
Really?
So we were really excited, thinking, gosh, 2 little babies, that would be so lovely.
What do you reckon?
They're now predicting, everyone who's talking to us about this is now predicting baby girls. And that,
wow, can you imagine? That would be amazing.
But it actually throws up, you know, for me, you know, and I love looking at sort of monarchy and also the accession to the throne and so forth. So you can imagine it that you know, so someone who is, you know, if one baby is born 1 minute before the other, that baby is closer in the line of accession.
I know.
To the throne. And so it could actually throw up. It's never happened. I went back into the sort of history, and as far as I can see, there hasn't been a mainline twins birth to the royal family in hundreds of years.
Wow,
it just hasn't happened. And so for this.
So when do you think we'll know for sure then? When do you think they will?
Well, the book is, I mean, there's a few different ones, I won't name them, but they, within an hour, had to take down, you know, the offer was 20-1 or something, they had to bring it down. And they were absolutely 100% sure that there were insiders that knew of the news, because there was suddenly the most huge bid, you know, people betting, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds, which never happens. So there were like an influx
so naughty,
of
the inside people, aren't they?
But you know, there could be a balance. I'm glossing over that one.
You'll see him next week.
But I hope not next week. Otherwise, we'll all be out of a job. But the last time round, she was supposed to be expecting twins as well. So
the biggest thing is, the big giveaway is this I can't remember the terminology, but this severe morning sickness, that is an indication as well that it could be twins. So that's a big indication.
So
watch this space.
Definitely watch this space.
And as I keep on predicting, and no one will listen to me, and you laugh, Harry is still with Cressida.
I believe that. Yeah. Why would he invite her to his birthday party?
Yeah, Cressida is
really
still very, very much on the scene, and I think that's the dark horse secret. What do I predict? I think, well, next year is going to be a very big royal year.
We want another royal wedding.
Well, there's going to be
babies.
I think there's going to be. Well, I know there's going to be babies, but also in September 2015, the Queen is the longest ever serving monarch on the throne in the world. So she actually outstrips Queen Victoria, who held the previous record. So it's a very, very big year. How old is she now? She's 86 now, the Queen. So she's been there since 1952. Yeah, so it's
still passionate and still absolutely brilliant, really, when you think, really, really strong.
And I just hope poor old Duke of Edinburgh
Yeah.
You know,
he's looked after, isn't he?
Yeah.
So hopefully
can you imagine that? The babies and a wedding.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lots of celebration, lots of great stories. I know. One other funny thing as well that that didn't realise, but in America and China, people actually think that Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles has split up.
Why would they think that?
And we've absolutely no idea where it's come from, but it's, you know, I mean, they're huge countries and everyone thinks it. And if you look in all their magazines, it's all about how they've split up and
not heard anything.
So we've passed on the news that obviously this isn't the case.
I mean, it's so strange because we think
really
we're off
funny.
to China ourselves in November. And we were talking to the representatives of this company, and she whispered in my ear the other night. She said, "What do you think of the divorce of Charles?" And I almost fell off my chair. I thought I'd missed something as important as the divorce of Camilla and Charles. No such thing.
Strange.
But they get some strange ideas.
And no sort of indications of any trouble going on there either.
There's not. They were made for each other.
Yeah,
they should have been married first, but there you are. Anyway, surprise, surprise! Scylla's in the charts again.
Bless her.
And I don't know if you've seen the recent programme with Scylla. I love saying
I saw a snippet of it, I have to say. Yeah. When they were all singing her songs, like different stars singing. Alison Moyet sang one of her songs.
Oh.
See? Did you know
that? Actually, no. Oh, that's a new little bit of tinkle of news.
I've got one up on Helena about the news.
No, Sheridan Smith, who starred in the recent TV drama, is a fantastic, really fantastic actress. And she basically played Scylla in it, and it was her life up until you know how she got famous. But what an amazing singer! I mean, I bet Scylla was thinking, "Gosh, I wish I had a voice like her." I mean, she really is very good. And the lovely thing about her, she comes from a very working class family, and so she's really, you know, top of the game now.
That makes the richest story.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, unfortunately, there's not enough people from probably the working class backgrounds that enter, you know, good acting careers now because everything's so expensive. Yeah. So something has to change. There's lots of people campaigning, Judi Dench and all our icons. Yeah.
We've run out of time.
Again.
Thank you for the breaking news to come.
You'll be down the bookies now, aren't you?
But you guys are so
they've you know.
You're really spot on with your news, so you know I do believe you when you say these things. They're not just rumours. Thank you so much.
We talked about the baby.
I know you did. And we'll see you again next time on the show. Thank you. Okay, so do stay tuned because after the break we'll take a look at our business expert John's event at London City Hall, and he'll also be joining us in the studio to discuss how to be a successful entrepreneur.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back. Now, before we speak to Jonathan on how to be a successful entrepreneur, let's take a look at this recent event hosted by London City Hall.
The London City Hall and Rockstar Mentoring Group have collaborated on project Become the Rockstar of Your Business. They're teaming up to offer courses and programs to help young entrepreneurs. Here at their event launch to find out how.
My name is Jonathan Pfahl. I'm the founder and managing director of the Rockstar Mentoring Group.
As a young person, I found this event very helpful. I met Jonathan, the owner of Rockstar, and he gave me some very helpful advice regarding funding for my film production company. And he also talked about coming over to the incubator events they have. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting Jonathan and talking more about the idea and hopefully getting funding put into my film production company.
So now, how do you propose to help these young entrepreneurs?
Well, it's a combination around the right type of mentoring and education all into one. So Rockstar, as you know, for 7 years have been mentoring thousands of British businesses all over the UK grow and really flourish in their growth and development. The collaboration came about really through, I got in contact through Rebecca Palmer. Rebecca Palmer runs the Young Persons Initiative and represents that that side of things for Boris Johnson.
We're so excited about having the incubators, even just calling it incubator. How kind of cool is that? Yeah, I'm just going to incubate it, innit? You know, it's just like, it's such a cool name.
So Rebecca, you kind of like made this project, this collaboration happen, am I right?
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah, because it's just, you know, you get to meet lots of amazing people working here, and came across Jonathan and thought, why has no one thought of that before, kind of thing. So yeah, it's brilliant. Having that person who believes in you, I think, is really, really important. I think that's what Rockstar and Incubator do. That's what we do at City Hall with the young people we work with, is we say, actually, we believe that you can make a difference.
How do you think we can sort of improve the confidence levels of young people today?
I think it's a long-term thing. I think young people have had a lot of bashing in the press and media around being, you know, just generally not very good, and we've had to fight to get the really positive stories out there.
Everything is based on the media, you know what I mean? And I feel as if there's good news coming up on TV, and if there's good things happening, you know, on the internet or whatever, it's so easy to be inspired. But I think for young people, it takes that one person to believe in you. When you've got that one person believing in you, anything is possible.
So do you think the actual direction and mentoring is, in a sense, then more important than giving them that financial backing that they might never be able to get otherwise?
I think, yeah, I think in some cases, yes, and as important, because I think one of the things that they've highlighted to us, the young entrepreneurs and young business people we've spoken to, is that it's the people that don't really believe that you're ever going to succeed, that sometimes are the people you have around you, and they don't necessarily say the right things or encourage you. And sometimes the right things aren't just, oh yeah, you're amazing, you're great. Sometimes it's actually, you need to do this differently.
David, you're a young entrepreneur and you've been helped by John. So how did you approach him, and what happened at the beginning stages of your business?
Well, my initial stages for the business, obviously I didn't go to university or college or anything else like that, so I just came up with an idea and I didn't really know how to go with it. So I went to a business startup show called Olympia, and I approached Rockstar and I asked them if they could help me start up my own business, helping young people get back to work for a new job search website. When I first went to Olympia, I was walking around and it was a different world, to be honest with you. I used to work on the roads as a sewer engineer, so it was a completely different world, but it was all about motivation. I wanted it. I wanted to be able to make my own business, and I wanted it big time. I couldn't even stand out in front of 10 people and talk. I was too scared. I was then in front of 250 people at the start of the year, thanks to Jonathan, talking about my business at Incubator.
So what you've done is you've done something quite simple, actually, but in some people might think it's quite obvious, but it hadn't been done, and it's actually something that was really needed. And so do you think sometimes simple ideas work the best?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people that come up with ideas and they think that's too obvious, that's too simple, that's too easy. I'm not going to go with that. So they don't really bother. But I mean, if you look into the research, see if there's a market there, and then go for it.
Wow, great stuff. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you.
That looked like it went really well.
It was fun. It was a good event, really, really good event, and it was a wonderful venue and brilliant to be working in partnership with the Mayor of London.
Sounds really
and City Hall.
exciting what's going on.
It is, you know, it's not different to what we've been doing for years, but it's just great to have a very well-known, recognised body now say, we're trying to help more Londoners, young Londoners, come up with their own business ideas and grow their businesses. We like what we're seeing here at Rockstar, and let's really get behind them and help grow the business and help more thousands of youngsters. So
it's just so nice for youngsters to know that they've got that support when they need it, and if they need it, so that can make all the difference to them.
Absolutely, and you know, I started the first Rockstar company 7 years ago, and you can. If you think back over the last 7 years in the UK, around the world as well, but what a roller coaster ride it's been, you know. Yeah. I set it up just as the economy was doing well, right at the peak in 2007. Everything started wonderfully, and then we had that global recession, of course. And my point being is that in the last 2 years, I think all the powers above have seen that if we as an economy are going to continue to grow, it's businesses, it's small businesses that we need to get behind, because they're going to be the ones to employ more people. Definitely. And for young entrepreneurs, we know how high the unemployment rate has been for 18 to 24-year-olds, 16 to 24-year-olds. And so never more has there been in the last 7 years more support and more awareness campaigns to really show young people out there, if you want to start your own business, these are some of the things that we can do to help you.
Now, you were quite young when you started your business.
Younger than I am now, yes. 7 years ago, I was 25, so I'm 32 now. So
because afterwards we're going to be bringing on a psychologist that's going to be speaking about, you know, what makes a successful young person, because obviously you could have had an idea and then just thought, you know what, I won't bother with that, it's too much work. But you didn't, you actually did something with it and you took it forward and you're really successful today. So I'd like to know from our psychologist, you know, what's the difference between someone that actually gets up and does something and what it is about someone that just, you know, just takes life easily and doesn't bother? It'll be quite interesting.
It will be, definitely.
But you have something to speak to us as well about how to be a successful entrepreneur.
How to be successful. Well, I mean, there's the book there, ABC. Everyone follow it and you'll be successful. If that was the case, it'd be wonderful, but it's not. But the reality of it is every entrepreneur I've met who is successful from a financial perspective, who's been able to grow something from nothing, that has been turned into a large profitable company that they can sell on or they can live very comfortably for. So success really within business in financial terms, that they all carry, in my experience, very, very similar traits. And I'll share them with you now, and then I'll give you a couple of points as well that I think young people really need to focus on now if they're going to get to that stage. The first thing is they've always from day one just had that absolute 100% belief. And, you know, successful entrepreneurs are almost ruthless in their thinking in terms of, this is the vision, I've done enough preparation and research to know that there is a market for this, and it comes before usually everything. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give up all of your other enjoyabilities in life. I certainly don't, but it is something that is on your mind 24/7. You've got a real focus and a real passion for. That's usually a trait. The other thing as well is that they are able to create something different to what their competition is doing that creates an impact very quickly. In today's age of technology and social media and brands and apps, never before have young people gone from nothing to seriously successful companies if they've got the message right in social media, if they've got something quirky from an app perspective that instantly gets the attention of the audience that they're going for. And, you know, that's what everyone's looking for now. I mean, we speak to a lot of new businesses all the time who are looking to raise funding through us, and it's always the next app or the next social network or what have you. There are a number of companies out there doing it, but if you can get it right, it's a very, very exciting next few years for you, because there are some big companies out there that if you can build an app that has X million users and you have X million people, you know, who are using it and have registered their details with you, that's very, very valuable. And a lot of companies are paying big premiums to acquire that and on to the next one. So have something different. Think about this phrase that I always ask. What are some of the little problems or big problems that a lot of people face? And what are the current solutions that are already there? And what could you come up with to create something, a new solution that would actually solve the problem to a lot of people, but do it and leverage off where technology is? How can you make things faster? How can you make things easier? How can you make things more simple? So there are a couple of the key things first. The most important thing I'll give you is to, firstly, and a mentor is phenomenal at helping you do this, but before you start spending money, serious money on developing an app, for example, make sure that you've done enough market research to show and prove to yourself first that you're creating something that people want. Not just asking your mate and your mother, for example. Spend the time identifying who your perfect customer would be. What do they look like? Where do they hang out? And get them in a group, or do a survey directly online, or do a Facebook campaign, whatever. And
I was going to ask about, maybe one day we can talk about sort of the marketing side of things and how you would do this not the marketing, sorry, the research side of things, and how you would go about doing your research.
I'm always harping on about it, aren't I? I've said that phrase.
Drummed into us, but it's good.
I've said that phrase so many times whilst I've sat on this sofa, and I apologise for that.
No, it's good. It's like, it keeps us, keeps us remembering.
This is why businesses are successful over those that aren't. When you're a startup, you've only got so much time because you've only got so much money. And if you waste the money on building an app, for example, or a website or a marketing budget, assuming that people are now going to see the ad or buy the product, if you haven't shown yourself first, but by proper research, that you've got something that people want, the chances of success are very, very slim. So use your time very carefully up front to make sure and test that you've got something that people want.
Okay, so great advice, Jonathan, as usual. But you're going to stay with us because after the break, we will be joined by our psychologist, Dr Hamira Riaz, to talk about the mindset of a successful young business person. Do stay tuned.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, and now we have Dr Hamira Riaz with us. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
So you've been listening to everything that we've been saying, obviously. So what did you think of the video, first of all, that we showed earlier?
I thought it was really inspirational, actually. It's great to see people of that age be so passionate about their ideas, and for them to find encouragement, actually, because you do need encouragement when you're starting a new business. You know, so I think it's wonderful what you guys do.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. So we were speaking earlier about how, you know, what makes a difference between like a young person that actually is successful and goes for their dream and is, you know, makes it, and the one that maybe has a dream, has an idea, but then doesn't pursue it, doesn't follow it through. What's the difference?
I think from a psychological perspective, there's probably a couple of things, but I think that the key one, and I think I'd echo what Jonathan's already said, is resilience, actually. It's a positive attitude, because you're going to face a lot of knockbacks. So the ability to have other people say that it's not going to work, that you know, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, you should be perhaps doing something else that makes more sense, and pursuing your idea anyway. And also, when you get negativity from the people around you, staying positive and focused. I think that's probably a key piece. I think another part of it is tapping into your energy for the idea. So, you know, I think you were saying something like it takes over, and really using that as a source of energy to get through the tough times. And usually you find there's some kind of support in the family system for that kind of entrepreneurial thinking outside of the box. So there's often something like that going on in the family.
So you were saying earlier about the first point about being really believing in your idea and everything, because I suppose if you don't believe 100% in your idea, then the first difficulty, even not even just an obstacle, but even a small difficulty will kind of knock you back a bit and make you start to doubt yourself and doubt your ideas and things, wouldn't it?
Very much so. And there's nothing wrong with having an idea that doesn't work out. It's about what can you do, what can you learn from it, and how do you pick yourself back up. I mean, every motivational speech or movie that you ever see, it's all about that. It's not, you know, expect to fall over, expect to have those fallbacks. We all do, whether we have businesses or we live our lives. But in business, when things don't work out, it's, as you said, it's the resilience as to how you can come back and go for it. And I mean, my father always puts it a good way. There are two things, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, as to what drives us on. It's either that it can be two extremes. For me, I think, you know, in good times it changes versus how it is in bad times. But the two desires to be successful in business is either, number one, the absolute, just genuine desire to be successful in life, or the fear of failure. And it's one of the two.
I think it's probably both, actually, at different times. And I've never met a successful person who isn't also afraid of failure. But because you know, I often meet them when they're a lot older, and they've had so many successes that they know the fear of failure is just something that drives them on. They can live with it. But I think when you're young, you could very easily be put off, and that's why I think the broader support system is so important.
Now we're going to touch on celebrity branding as well, because obviously you specialise in that too. Can you tell us about that?
So there's probably three. I mean, we often think about celebrity branding as being the image, the sort of the projected persona, but there's probably three layers to a really good celebrity brand. The superficial layer is the image, and we get lots of information about that. The middle layer is behaviour. And with the 24-hour news cycle and the paparazzi kind of culture that we have, we get a fair chunk of good, bad and ugly behaviour from celebrities.
But Justin Bieber, they're always covering him on the news. Like.
But I think a really well-crafted celebrity brand has at its heart the story of why. Why the person is the way they are, their beliefs, their attitudes, their values. So that's probably the area that I work on most with famous people and very successful people.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about their mindset as well? Because I want to link it back to what we've been speaking about with Jonathan.
So I think
we have the branding obviously, but then about the way they think as well.
So I can talk about what goes wrong sometimes, the traps that they can fall into. And I think the obvious trap is creating a brand that's so far away from who you really are as a person that it becomes a strain to keep living up to the expectations that you've built up. And comedians...
That's pressure, isn't it?
It's so much pressure.
When you're not being yourself and you're pretending to be someone.
You can get carried away when you're so successful and you're new to fame. It can seem so amazing. But then, as we know, celebrity life is full of ups and downs. No matter how good it starts out, you've got to envisage that there'll come a time when you might have a low point. And that's when the pressure gets to people, is living up to this image when actually inside they know it's not really them. So your brand has to connect to who you really are. There's got to be a relationship between the two.
Okay, so would you say that's the most important one?
I think that, and I think authentic is a much overused word, but we can all tell a phony at a distance. So it's a celebrity brand has to be believable, it's got to be relatable, it's got to, as I say, tell us about how that person ticks, so that if they do behave uncharacteristically, if they make a mistake, we can sort of understand how it could happen. And if you think about it, in all walks of life, if we understand behaviour, we can forgive an awful lot. But if we don't understand the behaviour, then we're likely to be judgmental about people. So I think earlier we mentioned the Beckhams. I think David and Victoria do a great job of being accessible and giving us enough information about who they are as human beings for us to understand all the stuff that's happened to them over the years.
Right, that's true. That's definitely true. So obviously we're talking about celebrities here, but can these things that you're talking about, can it be related to like sort of the average person?
So obviously the whole thing about personal branding started in the celebrity world, but politicians have caught on and CEOs are now doing actively doing reputation management. I think in the age that we live in, with social media, there's so much personal information about us out there that actually we're at risk of having complete strangers or relative strangers judge what we've posted, what we've tweeted. And over a lifetime, if you think about our digital legacy, how many of us actually know the kind of perception that's creating out there? So I would say
so never tweet in a hurry. Never put anything in a hurry. Or
never a good idea.
You're not on form.
Or in haste.
Or, exactly. Or angry.
Yes.
never tweet when you're angry.
That's right.
Come back to haunt you.
It's really the whole sum of all of that information that's out there and how that becomes, how other people might see us relative to people who don't know us very well. And so I think we do have to become a little bit more thoughtful around what's the sum of the parts? What's this saying about us? Are we really being ourselves, or are we only showing certain aspects of our personality through our social media profile?
Okay, brilliant stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, we have run out of time, but thank you both so much for coming on the show and sharing your pearls of wisdom with the viewers. Pleasure. Okay, so we have reached the end of the show, but if you want more information about our guests, you can visit the website chrissybshow.tv. And also, if you have a question, like I said earlier, if you have a question you'd like to ask me, you can email on chris@chrissybshow.tv. And perhaps you have your own success story that you'd like to share. If you think it's inspiring and it will help other people, do also get in touch, because I do love to talk to all kinds of people, whatever the situation, or even if you had a bad past and you managed to turn your life around. I also love having those kinds of guests on the show too. So do get in touch. Bye-bye for now.
So sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I'm touching a bottle.
No, it was actually my hit. Don't worry. Yes, ready? Testing.